My tummy hurts, and I was just in a meeting, and they didn't even know. I was so brave. Can you believe that?
Hello. Good morning, pals.
Good morning, BBs. It is too early. Welcome to the first, best, and only morning show in existence. I'm Anthony Carboni.
And I'm Saige Ryan.
And I finally played the Fingy game.
Oh, yeah? How's it going?
Georgie Railroad said, put the fingies in that game, boys.
Uh-huh. Was there fingies?
There are so many fingies in the Elden Ring. I can't even tell you how many fingies there are. I will tell you this, though. The first night I streamed, a little rough. Not because it was a Souls game. Mm-hmm. Those are always a little rough.
Okay.
PC technical issues.
Ooh.
They were bad. They were bad. Like, Wednesday night, they were bad.
Okay.
Yesterday night, a lot of them were fixed. Or Thursday night, a lot of them were fixed. So yesterday night, who knows? Maybe today, it'll just run really well.
Okay, yeah. You're slowly building up to quality play.
That's the thing. You gotta give these things time.
You gotta put the hours in.
You gotta put the hours into a broken game before you can play a good game. I will say this: the first night was really, really bad. It was having like a lot of issues, just like with me having dual monitors. Nobody at From Software anticipated people having dual monitors, really, and having to move between those monitors. Remember, they started off making accounting software.
Okay.
You don't need two monitors for an Excel spreadsheet. They've just been putting duct tape over the same engine, I think.
Okay. All right.
So that was pretty rough. It was like constantly changing resolutions, and it was doing that horrible flicker where it was like it was rewinding and fast forwarding a few frames every few seconds, just back and forth. Nobody could see it on the stream. I felt like I was taking crazy pills. They could tell it wasn't running super well, but I felt like I was taking crazy pills because nobody could see what I was seeing.
Interesting.
But by the second night, there was a big update yesterday morning at like 5 a.m.
Okay.
And then last night, played pretty fine. It does have the frame dips that everybody says that it has on the PC.
Okay.
But it got a lot better about sharing screens. I also found out Elden Ring will only run on your main monitor. It doesn't want to be on your second monitor. It wants you, no taskbar for you. You're playing Elden Ring right now. You're paying attention to Elden Ring. It says, put your phone down, we're at dinner.
Wow, needy.
Right?
Woof.
It was like, put your phone down, we're at dinner.
It looks very dark in here today. I think that's because it's a bit overcast here in Los Angeles.
And also,
we're having a rainy day.
And also, because the Batman of Gotham is back.
You're so right. The Batman came out today, officially. I mean, you know, as with things coming out on a Friday now, they start coming out at 6 p.m. on Thursday. I've seen showings at like 3 p.m. on Thursday.
Oh, yeah. Thursday's the day.
Movies. It comes out on Friday. It comes out on Thursday.
Let me tell you, I actually love that because you remember what the lines and the reservations used to be like to get like a Friday midnight if you really wanted to see something.
Yeah, absolutely.
But now, baby, now you can see a Thursday at 3 p.m. if you're not gainfully employed and you're worried about money all the time. Worried about money all the time? Go see a picture show. We're in a second depression. The Batman is back.
I feel like those things go together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually makes sense. Obviously, if you have already seen The Batman, please do not post any spoilers in the chat. Neither of us have. And also, a lot of the community will not have already. But I have a ton of friends that went to see it last night.
I know a lot of people that went and I heard the Batman of Gotham was an urban myth. And yet, so many people have seen him recently that I have to say there might be something to the stories.
I've heard wonderful things from everyone I know that's seen it. Everyone I know has had a good time. I want to know how you're feeling on theaters, Anthony.
Yeah, well, yeah. So I'll tell you this: the last movie I saw in a theater was a Batman. I went over the holiday to what's the name of the theater? The Quentin Tarantino theater that only shows things on film. Not
I have no idea.
Not the ArcLight, but the other one. Anyway, I went and saw it. I went and saw the Batman Returns.
Okay, right.
But it was like in a pretty empty theater, and everybody was masked, and it was post-vaccinations, and it was okay. I mostly went because how do I say no to the greatest Batman movie of all time in a theater? And number two, I wanted to see how I felt in the world and how the world felt to me in December when people were vaccinated. It was okay.
Okay.
The New Beverly. Thank you, Trevor the Known. I went to the New Beverly. So it was all right. I was a little wigged out by the end.
Mm-hmm.
I think I could do it now.
Okay.
Things are progressing,
Things are definitely progressing. There's a couple of things that I took note of. One, AMC is still doing those rent out a theater for your friends things.
Dude, I hope it never goes away.
I hope so too. And a friend was breaking it down. A new friend I met on a shoot yesterday was like, yo, I did this and each of my friends paid $13.
Yeah.
We rented an entire theater.
If you get like 15 or 20 people, it's like
less than seeing a movie.
Less than seeing a movie.
Yeah.
Because they assume that you're going to get in there, you're going to get a little rowdy, you're going to have some snackies, you're going to order some drinks and food, you're going to make a time of it.
Right. Yeah, I think that that's a very good idea. I don't know if I would rent a theater for the Batman. I'm not against it, but I know I would very much like to do that and probably plan on doing it for Doctor Strange.
Well, let me tell you this. I don't know if AMC will let you rent a theater for the Batman because AMC this weekend is testing out what they call variable pricing.
Ooh, okay.
And don't worry, it's just what you think it is. Wait, I mean, get worried. It's just what you think it is.
There we go. Okay, so they're going to charge more for movies I want to see more.
Yes.
Okay.
The more popular a movie is, the more they're going to charge for it. And this weekend, nice. The more they're going to charge for it. Basically, if you go see the Batman at AMC this weekend, it's going to cost a little bit more than every other movie.
Woof.
It's going to be slightly higher.
Did they specify the amount?
No, because it's variable. They're going to be testing it in different rates at different markets.
Oh, yeah, it's surge pricing. Ugh.
I love that now that people are like desperate to get out into the world and do things again, businesses are like, oh, we'll take advantage of that too.
Okay.
We fucked you. We fucked you both ways.
All right, so ready? Let me on the AMC marketing team. Okay, hold on. Ready?
Yeah.
We've decided to make this choice to create variable pricing. You're a customer.
I'm a customer, okay.
Okay. Oh,
I'm in a focus group.
Yeah. We've decided to test out
I'm a valuable guest.
variable pricing due to the safety of our guests. You see, when a film is very popular, we've noticed the theaters become more packed, not only lessening the experience post-pandemic for those who want to sit with a little bit of space and room to breathe, but also for the safety during the COVID-19 pandemic. If we can deter people from all going to the same films and maybe spreading out to watch some of the other films available at the theater, maybe we can make our customers just a little safer.
Oh, great. So this is just a temporary thing because of COVID, and you're not thinking about making this a permanent thing.
Well, it's a long-standing issue that these huge Marvel and DC releases tend to be very, very packed. It tends to be difficult to get tickets. So if we're able to spread that out a little bit, it might be easier for you to get a ticket in the future and maybe have an open seat next to you.
So you are going to keep this going forever. But that's okay because variable pricing means variable. It goes up, it goes down. So this weekend, the Batman is more expensive, but I'm sure there's a less popular film that you're charging less for.
Less than the Batman.
No, less than normal ticket.
We consider the Batman price normal for Batman.
Sure, but like, what about a movie that's like a few weeks old and people aren't really going to see it anymore? Are you going to lower the price for that?
We would never lower the value of independent films that play, for instance, in our theater.
Yeah, this is the slow, inevitable climb to billion-dollar movie tickets, which they already kind of are.
The trash.
It's pretty rough. But this right now, the other thing that they're doing is they're of course pushing their Stubs program, their VIP program, and of course, variable pricing doesn't affect you if you're a Stubs member.
I mean, look, I'm going to say it again. The AMC Stubs A-list, it does fucking slap. And I think that in the same way that, like, Microsoft is like, just get a subscription then. I think AMC is kind of doing that as well.
That's exactly what they're doing. The problem is that's cool now.
Right.
It's
that
not
subscription
cool.
then can keep going up. They can keep placing new limitations on it once they have that share.
In 5 years, when tons of people have this, when more people have this subscription, when most of the people who go to AMC have this subscription, all of a sudden there's like 2 auditoriums a day that are for Stubbs A-listers, and it costs more, and you know what I mean? Like, this is the way they do it.
Yes, absolutely.
And all of this stuff, of course, hurts, as Zealous just said, all of these pricing and subscription models just hurt the people with the least amount of money.
Yep. The people who want to take, for instance, their kids to go see a movie that maybe they have multiple children. They're having to buy 4 movie tickets as opposed to, me going to see one.
Yeah. Or, even people who are like, well, I don't have the money to see a movie every week, but, a few times a year, there's a nice movie that I want to see. And it's like, it's going to be more expensive for those people. Just like games right now. It's like, well, I don't have $20 for this subscription and $20 for this subscription and then Hulu and then Netflix and then this and then that. It's like, it's rough. Oh, she's doing it. Oh, yeah.
Let's see that messy shelf.
Oh, come on. Yeah. That's the one. Now, David, the Dargonzine writer in the live studio audience, says it would be nice if the AMC seats were comfortable like the Regal seats are. Now,
depends on the theater.
It depends on the theater, because the one by us has a lot of the auditoriums that have the reclinies and stuff, and that's pretty nice.
Yeah.
I like those.
Yeah.
Of course, the Regal near us has that too.
We have a Regal near us?
It's that new one with the 4DX.
Huh.
That's a Regal.
I didn't know Los Angeles had Regals. I grew up in Orange County, so like our main theater was primarily Regal.
Yeah.
Always. But I tend to think of AMC's here. All our big theaters are AMC.
Yeah.
Okay, well, this sucks. Variable pricing sucks. Right now it is just testing, so I hope that maybe they get enough backlash and people do push back on it enough that they decide against it.
I hope so too. While we're talking about the Batman of Gotham, the Batman of Gotham was in previews, as we said last night, previews. And it made $21.6 million yesterday in Thursday previews. They're looking for a $100 million opening. The Batman is looking to be the first big, quote-unquote, post-pandemic movie, which, by the way, remember, we are not post-pandemic, but tail end of the pandemic, they're hoping to be the biggest opening. They want to come out of the gate and be the first movie people really remember, even though that's going to be Spider-Man.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's going to be Spider-Man.
Oh, absolutely.
Although, I could have died.
Yeah, it was a risky move to go and see Spider-Man, honestly.
Spider-Man was the last movie I saw in the theater, not Batman.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Huh. I felt really bad. I felt really, really, really scared walking out of No Way Home, because that was a crowded theater. That was an AMC. It was in San Francisco. It was at the Metreon. Right. Crowded theater, huge lines, huge crowds. I mean, everybody was in masks, but I was like, I've been here for 3.5 hours.
Yeah. The last one I saw was also Spider-Man.
Yeah.
There was a moment in time where, like, after the vaccines all started kicking, everybody was like, cool, we're doing things. I saw a couple of horror movies in theaters before Spider-Man, but since then it's just Spider-Man. I don't know. I would like to go see the Batman. I think I'm sad that it wasn't Scream.
Yeah,
I wanted
Scream
to be
huge.
okay.
But Scream was still one of the biggest horror movie openings and one of the biggest horror movie theater takes in a long, long time.
That's great. I'm very happy for them. I wanted it to be Scream for me.
Oh, you wanted, yeah.
I wanted it to be safe for me to see Scream.
I get it. I get it. That's like there were so many I wanted to see in the theater too over the last year. I really wanted to see The Green Knight on a big screen.
Yeah.
I wanted to see Dune on a big screen.
Right.
But it's fine. So listen, at $21.6 million, that's no slouch of a preview, but that's only about half of Spider-Man No Way Home, which holds the record for a $50 million Thursday preview. $50 million. It also beat out some pre-pandemic openings by DC. It was bigger than The Joker, which opened to 13.3 million in previews, Aquaman, which was 13.7, and Suicide Squad, which was 20.5. It only made like $1 million more than Suicide Squad in previews, but Also, they're not going to drop off the way Suicide Squad did in the box office.
Right. And the difference there is they're not comparing to the Suicide Squad. They are comparing to 2016 Suicide Squad.
The OG Suicide Squad.
The things that they chose to compare to here are Aquaman, Suicide Squad. I understand that those are like the comparable numbers.
And also the last, like the well, no, that's not true pre-pandemic. Because we also had...
Aquaman is pre-pandemic and so is Suicide
Well, that's
Squad.
what I'm saying. I'm saying they're pre-pandemic. I'm trying to think if there was another one that was closer. Yeah, I mean, there must have been. But it's a good preview, and I think what they're trying to say is like, the movies aren't back in full force because people are still being cautious. I think another thing that's happening is like, if you look up when is the Batman on Google, like one of the things that will automatically fill in for you is on HBO Max.
Yeah.
People have just gotten used to Warner Brothers stuff doing HBO, like being on HBO Max. And the Batman is going to be on HBO Max supposedly 45 days after opening, which means mid-April we'll be able to watch the Batman on TV. So that's another thing is I'm thinking like, I do kind of want to see this take on the Batman because I'm hearing good things. But also, I am a little tired, sleepy of Batman.
Yeah.
And also, in 45 days, I can watch it for free.
I think my approach will be waiting like 2 weeks and then going to a daytime like matinee showing when I know a theater is going to be empty, going to a theater that's less popular in Los Angeles.
Same.
That sounds like my best option here. It's definitely not going to be an opening week movie for me, just safety-wise. But maybe something I could go to an empty theater and see.
I've got, I've got that one around the corner from me that's very empty during the day.
Yeah.
And I'm always looking at it like, I can go see a movie whenever I want. I'm a goddamn grown-up.
Right.
Just thinking about it. So, they believe, Warner Brothers is looking for $100 million, at least. They're looking for $200 million. So they're thinking that $100 million is on the low end of opening. They think this weekend it will definitely make more than $100 million, which is...
Makes sense.
It makes sense, but it's also wild to me that like, oh, okay, we're back in it.
Yeah.
And if it does, it will be only the second movie since COVID hit to cross $100 million in a single weekend, which the first one is, of course, The Spider-Boys.
Very interesting. I would love to know, with a spoiler tag in the Discord, what you thought of the Batman.
Mm-hmm.
Please, spoiler tag. Please be careful. I just want to know if you liked it or not.
Yeah.
I just want to know how you're feeling.
How are you feeling?
Know if it made you happy.
Speaking of other openings this week, that Square and Platinum game.
Oh yeah, Babylon's Fall.
Babylon's Fall. This was the Square and Platinum. This is supposed to be game as a service. I was excited for it because, as you know, I love all things Platinum. I thought it was interesting that Square was sort of getting into this space. But then I forgot about it, and it looks like we all did.
Oh.
Because, holy shit, on its release day, Babylon's Fall peaked at fewer than 650 concurrent players on Steam.
That's so rough.
All day.
It's a Square Enix title.
And a Platinum title.
But
here's the thing. I didn't know it was coming out. I've been hearing nothing.
Neither did our friends in the chat.
And here's the thing. When you look at reviews, it looks like there's a reason.
Oh. Other than the fact that they released it on Elden Ring Week?
On Elden Week?
On Elden Week?
It's basically been an extremely negative response to the game. Jeff Gerstmann said, "I'm having trouble thinking of a full price video game that has made a worse first impression on me than Babylon's Fall." Gerstmann, by the way, one of the elder statesmen of games journalism, has been in this for almost 30 years, is saying, can't remember a full price game that has left a worst impression on me.
I can't imagine so many of these things, but also releasing it during Elden Ring Week.
This game has a full court press of battle passes, premium currencies, and other stuff at launch that feels presumptuous in terms of the quality of the game, and the likelihood that people are going to want to engage with it. It feels, quote, very fucking crazy to me. People are saying it looks like a PS2 game.
It does.
People are saying that the combat is a little weak. It feels rushed. It feels like
shit.
It feels like a mobile game, which is such a bummer. This is such a bummer because Platinum and Square. I feel the same way about this as I did when Suda51 came out with his game last generation. That was like the free-to-play game.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, well, if it's a Suda game that I can play forever and ever, and they're always adding content to it, I think that's great. PS3, thank you. I think that's great. I love it. But it did not feel that way. It felt very bad.
Them all lining up with like the big boss fight at the end and like heading down the path like that. What does that look like to you, Anthony?
I don't know.
The four of them lined up side by side heading down a path.
Oh, are you talking about Raid Shadow Legends, the free-to-play game with hundreds of champions to choose from?
Not sponsored. We were earlier in the week. We're not sponsored today, but like that's what it looks like to me.
Wow.
Like genuinely.
So I think while people are like, wow, this is terrible timing and why didn't they market? I think this was a plan. I think they were running this as they were making this with Platinum. They really wanted to like, Square's been trying to push this microtransaction stuff and this game as a service stuff into everything. And they're having a miserable time of it because they're bad at it.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep trying to force so much down people's throats. You think about the response to Avengers.
Yeah.
When Avengers came out and people were like, why is there, I don't even know if I like this game yet.
Right. And you already want to take more money?
Which is wild. So I think they were running this as an experiment. They were building it out. And as they were building it out, they were like, okay, well, this is supposed to be like a low to mid-budget game that we start as a game as a service and build on over time. Let's see how it turns out and not spend any more money on it than we have to. And I think that's what happened. And it sucks because, as Adam V is saying, Platinum is always getting attached to this shit, man.
That sucks. Sucks for Platinum.
It sucks for Platinum. It's like we were talking about the other day with the Legend of Korra game, where it was like, well, everybody's like, Legend of Korra sucked. I'm like, it didn't suck. You just weren't used to downloadable $15 games then.
Right? Yeah.
And Platinum is always being pushed into these experiments.
Yeah.
And it just sucks because they make such good things. I don't know. This is apparently bad, though. It does look, somebody mentioned that it looks a lot like Final Fantasy, and of course it is a Square game, but also I have a feeling that this might have originally supposed to have had the Final Fantasy name attached to it.
Yeah.
And I think it's something like a Bravely Default where they were like, we tried something new and we don't think it's Final Fantasy.
It's not quite Final Fantasy, but we already made it. Do you think we should maybe do something with it?
We'll put it out with another name.
Ah!
I hate that. I'm sorry. I feel bad for poor Platinum.
I also feel bad for Platinum, but also it's not a good looking game.
No.
Like, you know, it's not like it's not getting the players it deserves. Nah, it's kind of getting what it deserves.
Well, that's the other thing.
I'm sure there's a bunch of very talented people that worked on that game, and they had no control over the final product in one way. But
when they say that the combat is not satisfying in a Platinum game, number one, that's wild. And when they say that the game looks like it's a PS2 or early PS3 game, that is wild. But I do think, once again, I think it was supposed to come out on mobile as well.
Interesting.
I think this was supposed to be PC and maybe mobile if it got popular. And so it was made for the lowest common denominator spec that they were going to release it on. I don't know.
Why wouldn't they have released it on mobile?
Maybe it wasn't ready. Maybe they didn't have it working. Maybe they expected more of their audience to be on PC, or they wanted to give it the feeling of a big Square game when they released it.
Maybe. I just feel like so many developers have mastered creating an actually cross-platform to mobile game. Like, you think about was it Pokemon Unite?
Mm-hmm.
Which is fantastic on the Switch. It's fantastic on mobile. Like,
yeah.
There are people that are accomplishing a good game that is also optimized for mobile. And I don't think that that's a huge excuse to not do so.
Yeah, but I do also think that with Pokemon and with Nintendo, particularly with the Switch, there's less of a, like, there are great experiences on the Switch. The Switch has an amazing library, but we're also not surprised when something mobile comes out on the Switch.
Right. Our expectations for graphics are not high on the Switch. My expectations for graphics in general are not super high. Again,
No.
I'm not a graphics person when it comes to games. I play mostly like indie games that are not graphical heavy.
It's a good thing you bought that big boy graphics card.
Correct.
She was like, I gotta put the big boy graphics card in here. Otherwise, how am I gonna play my visual novels where you smooch?
Look, I love a beautiful game. I'm going to play Elden Ring. I already bought Elden Ring and Horizon. It's just, at the end of the day, my favorite games to play always end up being indie games.
Look, at the end of the day, the PS5 is for Puzzle Bobble. I haven't played Horizon yet either.
Yeah.
I keep meaning to. But the problem is Elden Ring. The problem is Elden Ring.
Huh.
You know?
Interesting.
What are you going to do? Elden Ring's here.
You get a new joke. Let go of it.
Plug in your PS5. Maybe I will. I can see your PS5 from here.
Great. And? How can I help you, Anthony?
It's just wild to me. It's wild to me.
Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yes.
I'm hurting his feelings.
Speaking of the PS5, Housemarque. We're going to talk about the BAFTA announcements in just a moment, but Housemarque was big on that list for Returnal. And so they've been in the press recently talking about their next thing. They say they're working on it, and it's not Returnal 2.
Which is very interesting. I mean, like, look, we love any company working on a game that's not a sequel. We do love that.
And we like any company that's given the space to not jump right into a sequel too.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I do like that Sony's not like, hey, why don't you just more of Returnal?
Yeah, you're a Returnal company now.
You're the company that makes Returnal now and forever. But they're not working on that. They're working on something else.
Do we have any insight as to what?
All they said was that if we want hints about what their next game is, that we should be looking at Nex Machina, which was that game that they made, the top-down arcade shooter that they made for the PS4, which sounds like they're going back to their arcade roots. You know, Housemarque, Resogun was a huge one for them. Super Stardust was a huge one for them. And Returnal was very interesting because it was sort of just a Housemarque game, but presented from literally a different camera angle. That's literally all it was when you think about it. And I think that's great that it hooked and it worked for them. But I love the idea that they're working. Maybe this is a smaller one because even though they say they're not working on Returnal 2, how do you not have people at least whiteboarding and prototyping Returnal 2 after it was such a huge hit?
Interesting. They said we had our stint working on multiplayer games because a few years back it seemed like you needed to have some kind of multiplayer experience. We tried that, didn't really do as well. But it's early days with us starting a new IP, concepting it out. We'll see what comes. So it doesn't seem like they're going back to that franchise in which they're referencing, but potentially the game style.
Yeah, just that style, just that arcade shoot 'em up style, that Twitch shooter style, which I love. You know, I love that.
Yeah, that sounds fun.
Tickles my brain. Gives me that good flow state.
Okay,
yeah.
I can dig it.
I love a shmup. But I think what there's, if you read between the lines, I think what they're saying is we have a smaller team working on a smaller game, and then we're secretly working on Returnal 2, but we don't want to say shit about it yet.
Let's go through the BAFTA nominees, shall we?
Sure.
BAFTAs is one of the only award shows that I pay attention to.
Yeah, it's wild, right? It's almost as though they highlight things that matter. So weird.
Who could say?
So weird.
let's go through some of the categories: animation, artistic achievement, best game.
An artistic achievement. We've got The Artful Escape, It Takes Two, which, by the way, the two games that were most nominated were It Takes Two and Returnal for the BAFTAs, which means, listen, they get things and we don't.
Yeah.
That's what that means to me. It was Artful Escape, It Takes Two, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, Rift Apart, Resident Evil Village, and Returnal.
Some of these games are not like the other. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but for artistic achievement, I think that makes sense because all of these games have such strong style and aesthetics, you know?
The one, honestly, that doesn't suit it to me is actually Resident Evil Village.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's just, it's stylized in Resident Evil in a way that I don't feel like is new or groundbreaking. And like, I love Resident Evil Village. Look, who doesn't, right? Who doesn't love the art? The character design for Resident Evil Village was very, very, very strong. But I was surprised to see it on this list, you know, and then you go to like Ratchet and Clank, which yes, that is in Ratchet and Clank style, but they did do some very new things with the new technology.
That was
Ratchet and Clank.
That was like playing a Pixar movie.
Right.
But I agree
with that.
With Resident Evil Village, I do get it because you do get to a point in that game where you're hopping from floating wooden plank to floating wooden plank. When that big fishy, and you're just like, yo, this is just the most repetitive thing I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I think once you get past that first leg of the game, I'm like, oh yeah, okay.
They definitely front-loaded it.
They front-loaded Resident Evil so hard.
They front-loaded that game very hard.
And all of the marketing was about that front piece. And then it was done. That's fine.
For best game, we have Deathloop. Man, Deathloop. Did that just... Poor Arcane. They just can't catch a break when it comes to sales, huh? People were pretty sure that Deathloop was going to be huge, and then it just wasn't.
We were sure that it was going to be huge.
I forget why I left it behind, but I just did. I don't know.
Forza Horizon 5, Inscription, It Takes Two, Ratchet and Clank, and Returnal. How do you feel about these?
I feel good about them. Forza is like fine. It's a good quality racing game. Forza always is. It's weird to see a racing game in for best game because I'm like, what's it really doing?
They're not reinventing the wheel.
We'll be right back.
We're back. Ooh. All right. Are any of those your game of the year?
You know, for me, Returnal's definitely up there. And Inscription definitely deserves the nod.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it. I know I catch flack every time I say it. I don't get why It Takes Two is getting nominated for so much. Like I do and I don't.
I land somewhere in between you and these nominations.
Yeah.
I don't think that It Takes Two should be that high on those nominations. I don't think that it was like that. Like, and I love a cozy game, so I had a wonderful time with It Takes Two. But like, this is a level of like, it's been nominated and won so many fucking awards.
It's adorable. It tells a great story. I understand that. But as far as the game itself goes, like, it was a perfectly fine co-op game.
Here's what I think. I think it's just been nominated too much for story.
Yeah.
I think it being nominated for art makes perfect sense to me. I think it's fucking adorable. I think it's extremely creative. I think the use of environments is a fun time. Best multiplayer, best co-op. Absolutely. I think that makes so much sense. When it comes to story, I think that it is overhyped.
Yes. I think
I land with it.
I just think in story it's overhyped, and because I've seen it before.
Yeah.
There's so many indie games that have done it 100 times, and I would say just as well. And also, like, you're really gonna throw it up against like Returnal, and even though Deathloop didn't grab me, I think Deathloop is a better game. I think Inscription is way better if you're gonna be. Remember that, and also let's remember that It Takes Two is getting a lot of like little indie game love when it's not. It's an EA game.
It is not an indie game.
EA has successfully marketed this thing as like a little indie game, but it's an EA game.
I mean, I don't know how they did that. I think it's just because it looks a little like an indie game.
Yeah, that's it.
And like once you get into the playstyle, you're like, this is an EA game.
We have gone to the point that like movies got to a few years back, where now indie is an aesthetic and not an actual like description of how much money it cost or how it was made.
Yeah, I can agree with that.
People are just like, oh, it's indie. And it's just like, no, it just looks cute.
Yeah,
are
cute
you
doesn't
sure?
mean indie.
Are you sure it's
doesn't
indie?
mean cute. Reaper Lightning's in the live studio audience said, I think that people are tired of heavy stories and that's why it was so hyped. I do agree with that. I do think that was probably a big part of it. A lot of people who were locked inside together too played. You know, we were in quarantine. I couch co-opted it with my partner and with a friend.
I think it was right place, right time for sure.
I really do think it was.
And I don't, I think when we look back on it 5-10 years from now, it's going to be one of those ones where it's like, yeah, for the time, sure.
And Ventatsu, also in the live studio audience, said the 2-player puzzle co-op game is so dominated by indie games that it makes you think they're all indies. But yeah, I will agree that genre has been dominated by independent developers up to this point.
Yeah. Debut game went to is The Artful Escape, Eastward, Eastward. The Forgotten City, Genesis Noir, Maquette, and Toem. Maquette is one that I think didn't get enough love this year.
Maquette was the one I wasn't familiar with on this list.
Yeah, that's the one where you're walking in and out of environments, then you make them smaller or bigger.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And it's like recursive. So like if you walk out of this building, that cube was just in a little model of the building that you're in, that you're looking at. It's kind of like if you ever played A Fisherman's Tale in VR, it's like that where you're looking at a model of where you are and you can walk in or out of the levels of it and get bigger or smaller.
Okay.
It's a really interesting idea.
That is very interesting.
It is something that I think because it was a smaller indie team and they'd been working on it for so long, it doesn't hit all the heights that it should have.
Okay.
But it was very interesting. I wish more people had played it. The Forgotten City is the one that started as a mod that became like a full-on game that was really, really good.
The next category is Evolving Game. We've got Among Us, which evolving is an incredible description for Among Us. I won't disagree with that.
Yeah.
But it does feel like 2020 and not 2021.
A bit, yeah.
For me, Animal Crossing New Horizons, Apex Legends, Disco Elysium, Fortnite, and No Man's Sky. Again, all of these don't feel like very recent, but that's the point of an evolving game category.
Yeah.
I do understand that. But it's like weird to see Apex like nominated for something.
I love any category where you can nominate Apex, Animal Crossing, and like this is such a wild list.
I mean, No Man's Sky, obviously, when it comes to evolving games, should get all of the praise in the world. No Man's Sky has evolved.
They got the home court advantage. They're a British team. They could do it. I would love to see them rewarded for all the work they've done. I mean, they've been rewarded with money and praise.
Right.
I would also love to see them be given a small statue of a mask.
I think that this particular category suits them and they deserve it.
Yeah.
My pick would be No Man's Sky for that.
What do we got? Game Beyond Entertainment is a weird category,
It's a very interesting category.
But I think it's about like, it's sort of about games that are about larger things.
Yeah, larger stories.
Have things to say about the human condition, I guess.
Yeah.
We've got Alba, a wildlife adventure, which looks very adorable.
Yes.
It's the one that's from the makers of Monument Valley, where you're the little girl on the island and like exploring around. It looks cute.
Yeah.
Before Your Eyes, which is one that we both liked.
Yep.
Chicory, which we love.
Absolutely.
Everything to Chicory. Game Builder Garage. It Takes Two.
And Psychonauts 2. Yeah, I think that both Psychonauts 2 and It Takes Two are not games beyond entertainment.
Oh, I don't know. I think Psychonauts. Have you played much of Psychonauts 2? I know the first one was
I've watched a good bit of Psychonauts 2.
The first one was definitely played more for the silliness of like we're going into people's brains. This one had a lot to say about like, what does it mean when you go into people's brains and what are their mental conditions and are you really helping them and what's it like to have anxiety or depression or these things in a very Psychonauts-y way. I feel like you're right. This is not its strongest category.
Right.
But I think
again,
it belongs
Psychonauts
there.
2 is an incredible game. I just don't know if this is its category.
I think it belongs there. But it's definitely not my favorite to win. Multiplayer, we had Back 4 Blood, Call of Duty Vanguard. Come on. You're fucking with me, right? BAFTAs. BAFTAs. You're fucking with me, right?
Two things. One, we're nominating Activision games.
And number two, the one you're gonna nominate is Call of Duty Vanguard.
Not even Call of Duty boys like Vanguard.
Come on.
Yikes.
Forza, Halo Infinite, Hell Let Loose, and It Takes Two.
It Takes Two is in every single category.
That's what I'm saying.
Like, it makes sense in multiplayer, though.
It's everywhere. Game design, Deathloop, Forza, Inscription, It Takes Two, Ratchet and Clank, and Returnal. Basically the same nominations for best game.
Yeah. Narrative, we had It Takes Two, Life is Strange, True Colors,
Oh, that's
Marvel's
nice.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Hey, play it right now.
Psychonauts 2, Returnal Development, Returnal, I just kept reading, Returnal, and Unpacking.
I love Unpacking. Hey, if you want to play that Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, remember that it's coming to Game Pass this month because, whoops, pretty quick.
How do you feel? What's your pick for narrative?
Pretty quick. Boy, oh boy.
I think it's Life is Strange for me.
I think it's...
Life is Strange dominates narrative categories.
Life is Strange is up there for me.
That or Unpacking.
Returnal had such a good horror story, though.
It did.
It had a really good horror sci-fi story. I would love to see it do a surprise upset here, but I think it goes to It Takes Two or Life is Strange.
Yeah.
Unpacking tells a story, but it's really like in the subtext of Unpacking, which is lovely.
Yeah.
But I think that's going to push it down farther.
When you get into original property, it still becomes abundantly clear that only 10 games were actually nominated for this entire award show. Deathloop, Death's Door, which is the first time we've seen that pop up so far. Inscription, It Takes Two, Returnal, and Unpacking.
For that, but it also like highlights how few games are original IPs right now.
Yeah,
and not sequels.
I think Returnal could take it. I think that would be deserving.
I'd like to see it go to Inscription.
I would also like to see it go to Inscription. Inscription did something genuinely original, which is really, really cool.
I'd like to see it go to Inscription, or I would also like to see. I'd like to see the kids at Acid Nerve win something. Death's Door was a pretty game. I think gameplay wise, it wasn't as hooky as they thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
But it was a really beautiful game.
Technical achievement, we have Forza Horizon 5, Hitman 3, Psychonauts 2, Ratchet and Clank, Resident Evil, and Returnal.
Sure, Resident Evil, technical achievement. The game where you had to patch out the fucking copy protection to make it run. Technical achievement.
I wouldn't quite call it that.
Sure.
Ratchet and Clank was a technical achievement.
Dude, Ratchet and Clank... Look, a lot of these games are amazing. I know that Hitman was amazing. Mm-hmm. Forza is always pushing technology.
Yeah.
But Ratchet and Clank did some shit.
Yeah. I would say Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart and Forza Horizon 5. Like, this is the category that makes sense for Forza for me.
Yeah.
This is the one where it's like, yeah, of course that's there.
Of course. They're pushing the graphics. They're pushing the multiplayer, all that stuff.
And Hitman is not for me, but I know that Hitman made some fucking moves in Hitman 3.
Hitman's
so that's great.
wild. Hitman is wild.
That is a technical achievement.
It's also not for me, but it is wild. And then the game of the year that's voted on for by the public, and this is lovely. I like these nominations. This is the category that once again they throw to us.
Yep.
The mongrels, the dogs in the street, and we get to fight over a single piece of meat. Here are the nominations.
Chicory, Deathloop, The Forgotten City, It Takes Two, Metroid Dread, and Unpacking. I'm so happy to see Chicory nominated so many times.
Love Chicory.
We love Metroid Dread.
Love Metroid Dread.
Unpacking. I mean,
it's fine, but listen. If the public votes for It Takes Two for this fucking category, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. Because It Takes Two is going to win so many BAFTAs.
I know.
Just give it to something. Just come on.
Just give it to something that's not It Takes Two. Y'all, if you voted in the BAFTAs, please don't vote for It Takes Two. Look, It Takes Two is a great game, but like they're going to win so many awards. Chicory's actually indie.
Fraud Monet brings up something interesting that we've talked about a couple times, but we forgot to mention here, which is the accessibility stuff that's in Forza.
Yeah, huge.
The live sign language interpretation and
incredible.
All that stuff. They do amazing things.
That is truly a technical achievement.
So there you go. Those are the BAFTAs. Here's the thing. The reason why the BAFTAs seem so much better than the award stuff that we have over here is because the BAFTAs is a legitimate arts organization in the UK,
as opposed to the Game Awards,
which is like, I mean, I know it's people within the industry voting and whatever, but it's like, come on.
The problem is the industry. That's the problem.
Yeah, the problem is the industry. Anyway, those are your BAFTA
Would you be
noms.
less upset about It Takes Two nominations if it was an indie game? Yeah, absolutely. I'm not upset about it.
I'm not upset.
A, yes, we would be happy that there was representation for an indie game. B, I would still think that it should be within the categories that make sense for it.
Yeah. I'm not saying that I would be upset. I mean, here's the thing. When a game markets itself and presents itself as an indie game and minimizes the fact that it comes from a large corporation in order to make you think it's the work of an independent artist, and then it gets nominated for a lot of things, that's a little sneaky.
It is.
That's a little sneaky.
It's a little sneaky.
I'm not saying it deserves I'm not saying it would deserve all the nominations if it was indie. I'm saying some of these nominations come off the back of people thinking it's indie or feeling like it's indie.
Right. Yeah. Generally, I'm always going to be more harsh on a mega corporation's video game than I'm going to be on an independent game. That makes sense.
I feel the same way about it as I feel in film when Miramax was pretending to make independent films.
Yeah.
And it was like, oh yeah, it's just a little indie film that we made for $40 million. That's not an indie film.
Support independent art.
Support independent art. We made it for $40 million and we put $100 million of marketing and award show marketing behind it. We're just making indie art.
We're just making indie art.
Anyway, moving on to some other games news.
I want to talk about Sunhaven.
Okay, talk about Sunhaven.
Sunhaven is such a cute, RPG visual novel / Stardew like.
Haven was the one where like the couple flies around together and stuff, right? Is that the one I'm thinking of?
I don't.
Or am I thinking of a different game?
No.
Okay.
Sunhaven. This is New Haven. This is regular, just Haven, not Sunhaven. I was kept saying Sunhaven, similar game. But Haven is the just like romantic RPG visual novel. And although it's a little late and I'm happy to see this, the update lets you play as a same gender couple.
Well, that's nice.
There are not enough of these, and there are not enough of these. I'm a huge visual novel fan. I'm a huge dating sim fan, obviously. I play a lot of them on my stream. And just the very, very simple part of it of being able to kiss ladies is enough for me. And I'm very excited about it. So, if you had been holding off on playing Haven, I will say, like, lack of options when it comes to romanceable characters, when it comes to, like, gender-restricted romanceable characters, will put me off of a game.
Yeah.
I will often not play a game if I'm not given that option. So thank you, Haven.
Yeah, this is what I think of when I think of Haven. I haven't played it, but I think of this bit,
that scene. Okay.
Where they're flying around together. I haven't played the game, but I remember this from all of the marketing and everything, where they're just running around these pretty places together.
Yeah.
Is it good? You like it?
It's pretty cute. I have so far been watching it up to this point. I haven't started a playthrough yet. It's a very, very interesting combination of it, how you get that combination of like RPG and visual novel in between. It's a cool combination.
Ooh, getting sexy.
Like, what a cool combo. It's sweet. I like it.
Yeah.
I'm very into it.
I'm very happy about that.
Now you can be a same-sex couple, and I appreciate that.
There's a demo that just came out for Kirby and the Forgotten Land, and people are really enjoying it. It's the first 3 levels of the game. I haven't downloaded it. I want to jump on this probably today.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Polygon says that they found the game to be a bit more classic Kirby than they were expecting.
Interesting.
The levels have plenty of secrets to discover, but it's still a pretty linear level-based affair, even though it kind of looks like an open-world Kirby.
Okay.
It's undeniably adorable, and Mouthful Mode is just as much of a standout as fans were hoping for. Watching Kirby envelop entire vehicles, staircases, and traffic cones is a constant delight.
Okay. Yeah, I will say, I think that was a very soft way of putting it by them being like, well, it was more classic Kirby than we were expecting, as in, like, it didn't break the mold like some people thought it might from the trailer. The trailer did seem like they were doing something very different, but it's still a fun game.
Yeah, that's good. I mean, look, it's not going to break. I didn't expect it to break too much from Kirby. It's still got to play like a Kirby game.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm glad that they're adding more stuff to it and making it a little more complex, because as much as I love them Kirby games is made for newer gamers and people who don't play games as much.
Yeah.
And so they can be like, sometimes you can be playing a Kirby and you can be like, this is very cute. Right. And I'm just going to hold down right until I win, you know? So I'm glad they're adding a little bit.
Yeah.
In other news, let's talk about... Okay.
Okay.
So, Gran Turismo 7.
Okay.
It's out. The microtransactions are live, and things are getting a little wild in GT7. Now, you've always been able to, well, for the last few Gran Turismos, you've been able to buy credits and use those credits to buy cars. You can also get those cars through playing the game. Some cars are very accessible, and some cars you're going to need to play a billion years for. But the most that cars really ever cost, some of these GT Sport cars, these legendary cars, they would cost like $4.99.
Okay.
You want a really nice car and you don't have the credits for it. You know, it's rotating through the shop.
Yeah.
The dealership only has the cars for a certain amount of time.
I'm not going to be able to play that much. I'm going to spend my $5. Okay.
Spend my $5, get the classic Porsche or whatever it is that I like. Some of these cars apparently cost upwards of $20 to $40.
That's so much. It's a $70 game.
You can buy in-game credits in packs of up to $20 each, which means if these prices are correct, you have to buy the most amount of credits you can buy twice to get some of these cars.
It's a $70 game.
These aren't real cars. Is this Star Citizen? Do I look like a fool to you? We could buy a $1,500 spaceship that doesn't exist.
Look, if this was a free-to-play game, and then they said, hey, there's a really expensive car you can buy, I would be like, that's too expensive. But it's a $70 game!
Pills and Advice says more like Car Citizen.
Now, I know that you can just put the hours in to get these, but...
some of these cars are like millions of credits. You got to play for a real long time. And then you got to hope that the car comes up randomly again.
Don't spend $40 on a fake car.
$40
on an imaginary car.
So, basically, here are the things that we know. Gran Turismo Sport would let you buy a Porsche 919 Hybrid 16, which I'm sure is a car, for $299. And it can only be bought for 3 million credits in GT7, which is $40. Some other examples are the Aston Martin Vulcan 2016, which is $499 in GT Sport, is $40. The McLaren P1 GTR 16, $499 in Gran Turismo Sport, $40. And an Audi R18, $40, $299 in GT Sport.
How?
A large number of high-spec cars cost 1 million credits, which is less than those cars. That's about $15. But there's no option to buy 1 million credits from the PlayStation Store. If you're running low on credits, the most you can buy is 750,000.
Oh my god!
And then you can buy 250,000. That's a total cost of $15.
Oh my god!
Or if you want to get a little bit of value for your money, you can buy 2 million for $20.
Right, things are getting 10 times more expensive. What?
And then remember that when you buy the car, I mean, listen, you switch out cars for waifus, and I understand that I'm doing the same thing.
But are you spending $40?
I'm not spending. I bought a battle pass for Genshin that was $10, and it lasted me 40 days.
Yeah.
And for me, $10 on a free game that lasts 40 days, that's a perfectly reasonable entertainment
expenditure. I agree. It's free to play. For me, that was Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
Every once in a while, I'd spend $10 on some credits, and I would buy a fancy ship pack.
Yeah.
That I liked.
It's a free game. Mm-hmm. They're putting a lot of work into it. I play it a lot. I'm going to support the game and get something out of it. That's the deal. $70 to buy a $40 game. And then remember, once you buy the car, you gotta get the upgrade parts for it. Well, that's more credits, baby. Once you get the waifu, you gotta get the good sword for the waifu, or your waifu's sad.
No.
It's true.
Yeah, everyone.
If you don't buy a lady a nice sword, she's gonna be mad at you. You gotta listen, if you buy a lady a sword she doesn't like, that's the end of it.
True.
Women want nice swords. You gotta listen to them when they talk about the swords that they like and the swords that they want. So you wind up buying the right sword. Imagine, here she is. What are you, 5'3"? 9 foot 5'3"?
Thank you.
5'3" with a rapier. Imagine not listening to her when she says she wants a rapier and getting her a fucking broadsword. In this economy? Come on.
Kaylee Bray bought this for me because she gets it. She knows.
All my ladies have their own swords. Yeah, they should have their own swords, but that doesn't mean you can't buy them a nice sword every once in a while to show them you care. You got to buy a car the right muffler, I guess. I don't know, but not for this much money.
Not for $40 on a $70
Not for $40.
Game. That's ridiculous. Ugh. No, don't do that. Okay?
Don't do it. Gran Turismo 7, everybody. Remakes. Let's do it.
You and I both sat there and said, we don't have a transition.
Wicca remakes. Here we go. What if I told you I could get you, let's continue with the car metaphor. What if I told you could drive out of here in a House of the Dead remake next month?
That'd be nice.
That'd be nice, right?
Yeah.
House of the Dead on Switch.
Oh, yeah. I'd love to play it on the Switch. I love House of the Dead.
Little Joy-Cons.
Oh, fun.
Do a little shooty shoot.
Yeah. Can I?
Yeah. It was announced. You remember it was announced last year, and it's finally coming out this year. House of the Dead remake. Pre-orders start on March 31st. Don't pre-order digital things. I love you all. Don't pre-order digital things. Listen, I want to be real with you. Lean on in, Pickles. Here's what it's about. Listen to us. There might be a time, sometime down the road, when your dads, in order to pay the rent, have to tell you that we have a lovely sponsor that wants you to pre-order something.
Mm-hmm.
And when that happens, we need you to say, okay, and then not do it. I mean, do it if you want, but listen. But listen, there may be a time when we have advertising.
Oh, what a dream.
And we have to say some things. Just remember that we do it for the good of the family.
No speaking of sponsors, Alonzo. All good. All done.
All right.
It's over.
It's over. The sponsorship is over. Okay? So just remember, if we talk about pre-order bonuses for an advertiser for a sponsored bit, just remember, we love you, and we're doing this for the family.
And we'll never advertise one that would actually cause you any harm or that we don't, think is okay.
I might. Money's tight, but your other dad is here.
Yeah, I won't let him.
Your other dad is here.
I won't let him here. Can't stop what he does on his own, but I will not let him do it here.
Anyway, House of the Dead remake is coming out, and it's going to be here in April. Pre-orders start March 31st. I'm excited. This has been delayed. It was originally supposed to come out in December.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
what's up?
The company that's making this,
okay,
Forever, they did make the Panzer Dragoon remake for the Switch. So let's
manage expectations.
Let's manage our expectations. Let's wait, and let's see.
Mm-hmm.
That Panzer Dragoon remake certainly was a remake of Panzer Dragoon.
It was a thing.
It was what it said on the box. It didn't say excellent Panzer Dragoon remake.
Right.
It just said Panzer Dragoon remake. They added no adjectives to it.
So then they're also not adding any adjectives to this House of the Dead remake.
No, they're not saying, what a great House of the Dead remake. The title is House of the Dead remake.
Right. Okay. All right. That's fine.
But I am excited for it. I think now that we have all of this motion technology and everything, and it's working, I want the light gun game to come back. I just want the light gun game to come back.
Yeah, that's fair.
Why not?
Anthony?
Yeah.
I did get distracted.
Oh.
What are you doing over there?
Well, Saige, there was something that I forgot to put in the doc.
I didn't know about this.
There was something that I forgot to put in the doc that we should mention, I think.
Okay. So I want to point out what Anthony just Googled at first was just whatever it was. It showed a bunch of images of Doja Cat. Now,
which we love.
I love to look at Doja Cat.
Look, if we're just Googling Doja Cat, that's great. Hey, everybody, let's get together and Google Doja Cat.
Listen, lean in here, okay? Let's have a quick chat about Doja Cat.
Yeah.
Now, I'm a queer person that's demisexual, so I'm not generally attracted to celebrities most of the time. I'm attracted to characters, love a character.
Sure. You can look at a celebrity and be like, that is a physically attractive human being.
Yeah,
Good for them.
Doja
Cat you have to know them.
Is an exception. I don't have to know a damn thing about Doja Cat. And now, again, it makes sense. I am attracted to said lady. I gotta say, it's not gay to be attracted to Doja Cat.
Fellas, is it gay to be attracted to Doja Cat?
like, there are some people that are an exception, and I say that as a queer person, that like, we can all be attracted to Doja Cat because there is something specifically about Doja Cat.
Yeah. The fact that she's ridiculously hot. And also,
there's a lot of ridiculously hot people.
No, but she's a specific...
Doja Cat is magic.
She is. And like, honestly, once you see her on social media and everything, it's impossible not to love her.
So why were there pictures of Doja Cat?
Because
I was like...
Here's why there are pictures of Doja Cat. Perhaps you are familiar with the video game House Party, a game in which you are a guest at a house party, and it's an adventure game, and it's known for being kind of raunchy and being like a sex comedy, but in video game form.
I was not. And Doja Cat's there now?
Doja Cat
DLC?
is now a guest at the house party.
All right, now I'll play House Party.
Previously, the only other guests at the house party were the Game Grumps, who were there because they did a very long Let's Play of the game.
Got it.
And sort of brought the game into popularity. However, now they got that Doja Cat because she also loves the game and plays it and has talked about it.
There was somebody who said they were not familiar with Doja Cat.
Doja Cat. Believe.
That's all you need. That's all you need.
Listen, I'm not going to tell you that there isn't dumb, problematic humor in this game.
I bet there is.
There's a lot.
As soon as you said raunchy comedy, I was like, ugh.
It's basically you go to a house party and you can play through a million different ways, and you're essentially just trying to hook up with different people at the house party.
Which in general would be something I would never play. Nothing about that sounds appealing to me in any sense.
It has some of the best and some of the worst voice acting ever, and has some of the best and some of the worst writing ever. This was basically a small team that made this weird game with this weird idea, and it was pretty bad and weird and strange, and it got popular because of that, and then they just kept making it a little better.
Interesting.
It's fucking wild.
All right, man. Maybe I'll play it for Doja Cat.
Yeah.
Maybe for Doja Cat, I would.
That's just such a wild crossover.
Yeah, they have the Game Grumps and Doja Cat.
I fucking love this.
Incredible.
Listen, Ariana Grande in Fortnite, keep your mouth shut. Real gamers are in House Party, and Doja Cat's a real gamer.
Not only are we real gamers, we're also real professionals. We're a professional business show.
That's true.
Hosted by two professional business people.
That's right. I got my MBA on the streets.
And I passed the bar in the state of Virginia. So that makes us qualified to tell you a couple of pieces of business news.
Okay. Let us begin with the business news.
You know, I'll start with one that is native to our business, which is a little bit of Twitch news. Twitch, timely as ever, has announced an update. It's the dual-edged sword that Twitch always is, where we want to celebrate when they do something good, because a lot of the time we have to talk about unfortunate things that Twitch has done. So I do want to celebrate that they are doing something good.
Sure.
But as always, we have to acknowledge not the speediest of action. Twitch has updated their policy to target misinformation and disinformation on the platform. Specifically, they're talking about things that harm protected groups, COVID-19 issues, disinformation around the elections.
Look, hey, it's good to know that finally Twitch is going to make sure that they're behaving responsibly vis-a-vis the 2020 elections. I guess get in there before the next one. We have them every few years.
Right. The election cycle is already started.
Sure. Do we not want to spread misinformation about a pandemic that's now winding down as far as protections go and medical information goes? Sure. Would that have been better a year ago? I don't know. Hard to say. Hard to say. Though I am a businessman, I simply could not. Who could know?
Projections?
I couldn't make a projection.
Yeah.
I play From Software games, but that doesn't mean I understand the spreadsheets that make the world work. I simply think maybe the time to stop people from lying about something that's killing millions of people
was a while ago.
Was maybe when that starts.
Here's what I will say.
So it doesn't kill as many millions of people.
Right. So
I don't know.
Not the bit. Here's what I will say about this policy that I do like in the update. They did specify on or off Twitch. Now, this has been a huge issue that we've run into many times where it's like, hey, you have a partnered creator that's saying horrific things on Twitter. And they're like,
well, that's not us.
Platform, not our problem. You know
do I look like David Twitter? No, I'm Steven Twitch.
Nothing I can do about that.
I wish I could. Look, do you want me to call David Twitter? Hey, Dave, how you doing? You want to golf on Sunday?
Right, because then it gets into that, okay, well, then where do you draw the line, right? If someone is going out into the world and committing acts of violence, they didn't do it on Twitch.
They didn't do it on Twitch.
They didn't do it on Twitch. Can they still be a Twitch partner? They shouldn't be. Absolutely, they shouldn't be. We've seen a lot of that happen where people are predatory, but things didn't happen on Twitch, so it wasn't considered to be their problem by them. So I'm hoping that more of their policies start to extend in this way of taking responsibilities for the creators that they allow to profit on their platform.
Yeah.
And something like this is a good change that I am glad they are doing.
Look, if you have a job in the real world and your company finds out that you are a horrible piece of shit outside of the job and you're doing these things publicly, they can be like, well, that reflects poorly on the company. We're going to fire you because you're a horrible piece of shit. The internet, particularly different forms of social media and video and content creation platforms, have been like, well, it's not a piece of shit here, which is the wildest, most backward way to act.
Yep.
You know that you are employing, even though they're not an employee, you know that you are platforming and splitting revenue with a garbage person.
Correct.
But you're like, well, it is a lot of revenue. Well, fuck you, man.
Right. So I think this should apply to all Twitch policies, honestly. I think that there has to be clarification, for instance, about like sex workers and things that stream on the platform and make content elsewhere.
Which Twitch is bad about.
Exactly. So it would be important that we put protections in place for those kind of creators that also stream on the platform for non-sexual content. But I think for things about, hey, you can't be racist here or elsewhere. You can't.
Look, I say horrible things, but she shows her boobs for money. So ban us both or don't ban either of us. No. Bad. Wrong. No. But we have to say that out loud so Twitch hears it.
Right.
Because otherwise they will ban both people.
Right.
The policy states that users will be prohibited if their online presence is dedicated to persistently sharing widely disproven and broadly shared harmful misinformation topics. So the nice and horrible thing is, could you still say horrible things? Probably, as long as they're not misinformation. And that's a different battle to win.
Right.
This one is, you can't spread misinformation anywhere. And that's huge and good.
It is huge. We are heading into another election cycle. Unfortunately, it is endless and it feels like there's no breaks in between them. And I'm still exhausted from the last one, but it is starting.
We are heading into potentially global conflict with a country that is extremely good at propaganda and misinformation.
Correct. So
managed to run 2 of their state media outlets from our country for many years. Only got them shut down this week.
Yeah.
So it's important.
It is very important. Obviously, there are new variants of COVID-19 that are spreading all the time. It's still important to keep this information about that. I'm glad it's here now. It is a good change. It is kind of rare that we get to talk about Twitch and doing something good. So
a quiet and polite golf clap for doing the least. Sorry, corporations.
Another quiet and polite golf clap is for Microsoft suspending all sales of products and services in Russia.
Yes. They are not the first big tech company to do so this week, but this is a huge deal. You will no longer be able to log on to any Microsoft services or buy any Microsoft products in Russia. That's a big deal. So far, all we've heard from Sony is that they're not going to sell Gran Turismo 7. You got a lot more going on, Sony. You want to say anything else?
Anything else?
But we do see that Apple has also decided that no products or sales or App Store stuff is going to happen in Russia right now. Mm-hmm. Disney and Warner Brothers are going to both pause releasing films in Russia for right now. And Namecheap, the domain service, which I think is very interesting, was like, yeah, your domains are no longer registered with us, Russia.
Yeah.
Go find someone else.
Yeah, Lego halted in Russia. We are seeing a lot of this, and it might feel small when they're individual, but when all of this happens at once and all of these companies that have so much influence in a world under capitalism, then I think that it can be very impactful on
it is huge.
Their horrible leader.
It is, of course, unfortunate that this also affects
Russian
people.
The
people on the street level at Russia that don't want to be part of this war. But the only thing that, it's not technically a war yet, but this conflict, it's unfortunate, but the only thing that really makes Russia listen is economic sanctions. Mm-hmm. And it's a bummer. I will say this. I do want to call out a couple companies that have said, no, we're cool with being in Russia. I do just want to say it.
Yeah.
And when you hear the 2 companies that are saying, yeah, we're going to hang out in Russia, maybe you'll think like, oh yeah, everybody good is pulling out of Russia. Good people should do that. Binance, the cryptocurrency exchange, refuses to pull out of Russia. They make too much money there. And number 2, WeWork, the co-working space that is known for abusive practices, has been known for years for abusive practices.
I wasn't familiar with the abusive practices of WeWork.
Oh, WeWork, they are shitty as hell, man.
Noted.
And the WeWork CEO said, oh no, we do incredibly well over there. We're not going to pull out. We do incredibly well.
Get fucked. Okay.
So literally said, oh, but we make money. We won't leave because of the money. You said the quiet part loud, asshole.
We work. More like we won't leave because of money.
We'll be right back.
And we continue the show. Because it's 9:31.
My stars and garters.
Hey, everybody. That is a place to end it. Ukraine should be on your mind. If there's anything you can do, there are a bunch of links where you are able to support people, for instance, that are displaced or support children that are impacted by the war. Do keep an eye out. Do your best to keep informed. We're a gaming news show. We are not qualified to talk about the larger conflict, but it matters and it's important to us. We want you to know that.
You're going to hear everything in life is political. Everything in life comes down to politics and philosophy and your ethics. You're going to hear some stuff from it about it from us.
Yep.
But you're not going to hear big news stories here. Please go check out reputable news sources full of journalists that know what they're doing and saying. Hey, just so our title isn't a lie, Invincible seasons 2 and 3 are farther along than you'd think. According to the showrunner, he says they're coming along really well. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, that's great. You'd be surprised how well they're coming along.
Yeah. Oh,
that's great.
Man.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm mentally preparing. I'm strengthening my constitution.
I'm ready for a cartoon, a show that looks like a 90s Saturday morning cartoon to break my heart over and over.
Yeah, very good show. Whew. I'm gonna just need to prepare my stomach for it. Okay, and that is all of the news that we have time for today. We love you. Thank you for starting your mornings with us. Of course, we do the show every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So if it was your first time here, I hope you'll come back and join us once again on Monday at exactly 8 a.m. Pacific. If it's not 8 a.m. when we start, that's on you. Check your clocks.
Yeah. It's not our job to be the timekeepers of time.
We are an independent network that does all of this essentially for free. So there are a bunch of ways that you can support us. Obviously, just showing up to watch the show is a free way you can support us. You can join the Discord. That's totally free as well. You can suggest stories that you want us to talk about because we want to talk about the things you want to hear about. You can follow us over on social media where we're making a bunch of very exciting announcements for the channel. My character in our new show, The Boros Saga Banesbreak, was announced yesterday. We have another character being announced today. We're making announcements every single day until the whole cast is announced.
Was there another announcement for the cast too, or just
yes.
you?
Yeah. The day before yesterday was Abria Iyengar, who was announced playing Priviv. Obviously, Abria is a gem and an icon who will also be joining us tonight on Failed Save. We do have a lovely guest on Failed Save this evening as well. Josephine McAdam will be there. Super, super exciting. That's at 7 p.m. Pacific, so we hope you'll come back and join us tonight.
Yep.
Anthony, where can they support you on the internet?
Oh, my stars and garters, thank you for asking. You can find me everywhere on the internet at a Carboni, except for here on Twitch, where I'm at Anthony Carboni. Twitch, you cowards, it's mine. Give it back to me. You can catch my science comedy podcast every week with Jeff Kanata. It's called We Have Concerns, and it's very, very good. It's at wehaveconcerns.com. And probably playing that good spreadsheet of an Elden Ring on my channel is the way to go. Saige, where are you at?
You can find me everywhere on the internet at Not Saige. I stream over on my channel Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Saturdays. Right now we are playing through Little Hope of the Dark Pictures anthology. You can find me here on this channel all the damn time and on Thmosh Games whenever.
Yay.
Yeah, I'm around.
We want to thank everybody. Like we said, there are tons of non-monetary ways to support us, and those are very, very important.
Can I show my girl? Can I show them?
Yay!
Look at her. Look how cute she is. At the Pixel Circus on Twitter.
Thank you for all the non-monetary support that you give us, but we want to give a shout out to the people that supported us directly during this broadcast. Remember, the donations go directly to the hosts that you see on screen. Things like subscriptions and other stuff, Patreon memberships, all go directly to the network to turn this little shed into a slightly less dilapidated little shed and keep the network running. So we want to give out our thank yous. Can you open up the thank yous?
Oh.
Do you want to open up the...
I suppose I should do that, shouldn't I?
We'll open up the thank yous and we'll just thank people.
How interesting.
So thank you very much.
You everybody for
doing
that.
Everything.
Let's go ahead and do this. Let's go ahead and do
so
that.
Much. We know that you.
And then Jesse PB with a $10 tip said the award for best and only news show goes to It's Too Early. Samantha 42 has subscribed for 2 months. Thank you for coming back to support the channel for another month. Emperor Keelich, who I will never say your name correctly for any of these months. I'm so sorry. Thank you for the 10-month resub. Thank you for still supporting. Grumpy with the bits. Skywalker with the bits. Tom Biden gifting 5 subs to the community. Tom, my goodness. Thank you.
Please.
Getting Mo Dunn and Dave Boy with the bits. Peter Lou with the Prime sub. Welcome. Thank you for stealing from Amazon.
Take that money.
Kaylin Roar with the bits. Fabio is butter. Is resubscribing for 9 months. Grumpy Steen on the 18-month resub. That is so long.
That is so long.
That is so many months.
I think you like us.
Kaylin Roar with a tier 3 sub and coming back for a 10th month. Oh my goodness. Said, what's up, BBs? Kaylin Roar.
Tier 3.
Really likes us. Kodoroku for 18 months. I think that is all of our months, so thank you very much. Chris Jean for 2 months said, only way I'll start my work day. Hey, thank you. Same. I appreciate that very much. Hi, my name is Rose. Said, holy cow, 8 a.m. and I'm here for a change. Hooray, with a 9-month resub. Level Soul Friend said, woo, news and resubscribe for 4 months. We got G-Rex with bits. We got Chris Jean with bits. We got DeBearju resubscribing for 18 months. And Tyler Firestorm with a 2-month resub. Katie Orr for your first time. Oh my goodness, thank you. The boy claps for you.
The boy claps.
Thank you all so much for showing your support today. You literally make it possible for us to do this show. We love and appreciate you so much, and we will see you tonight, BBs.
Bye, BBs. Little clap for you. Producer Dagger.